Alright folks, I'm back, and I've got another spreadsheet. See, I've made a lot of these spreadsheets going into the locations that you can find any given Pokemon to shiny hunt in any given Pokemon game, and today we are looking at Pokemon Legends Arceus, with Pokemon Legends Z-A on the horizons. I figure a good time to take a look back on the first now of will be two Pokemon Legends games. So, if we take a look at this spreadsheet, which, if you didn't know, is my second spreadsheet after the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet spreadsheet. Haven't seen that? Take a peek at it. This one looks a little different. We only really have two things in our key this time, and that is location and a different form of my rating system. If we look at our locations, there is one for every major area that you can go to in the game, one for if there is no location, and then one for being in every location, which we'll get into more as we look at the spreadsheet itself. The spreadsheet itself is split into two segments, the mass outbreaks and the massive mass outbreaks. Put simply, there are two separate pools in any given region for mass outbreak Pokemon. The mass outbreak pool and the massive mass outbreak pool. The only real difference, massive mass outbreak is going to have like 14 different outbreaks and I think 5 less shiny rolls, and mass outbreaks will have a higher number of shiny rolls, aka a higher likelihood of being shiny, but at the cost of being just one Pokemon, though you will know in advance what Pokemon that is. Right? So looking down at the mass outbreak and the massive mass outbreak boards here, you'll see that I always put what is the first location that you could feasibly find this Pokemon in as the first location, and then the second one as a secondary. It's like a lot of these Pokemon you can find in Obsidian Fields, but later in Cobalt Coastlands. But here, you know, right? Drifloon, Cobalt Coastlands, but also Alabaster Icelands later on, right? It's just categorized by how long it takes for you to unlock that area. Now, the reason that we have all locations is for whatever reason, Happiny and Chansey can appear as a mass outbreak in every single region. I had no freaking clue until I looked at this, and I was like, oh shit, they're literally everywhere. So I had to make an all locations tab specifically for Happiny and Chansey, but other than that, you know, these are the usual suspects. It's not exactly new territory. I mean, this has been out on, you know, Serebii and all that stuff for a good while, but I figured I'd just compile it into this nice, easy reference sheet. So if you're trying to find a specific Pokemon and you want to know what massive mass outbreak or mass outbreak you should look for that Pokemon in, here it is. You kind of know what location you can go to. I love my two personal favorites down here are that Spiritomb and Unknown both spawn in massive mass outbreaks in the Crimson Mirelands. Both shiny Pokemon that are exceedingly hard to find if you do not find them in PLA. Now, I'd be remiss if not to talk about the shiny ratings. They're pretty simple. A green is just shiny huntable, aka one of the shiny hunting methods in the game, i.e. mass outbreaks or massive mass outbreaks will work for that Pokemon. If that Pokemon is not obtainable in that way, but you can evolve it from a Pokemon that was obtainable that way, it will get the evolve rating. If neither of those are true, then it will get a full odds, because you have to find that Pokemon in the overworld to find that Pokemon. It's never going to spawn in a mass outbreak. It's never going to spawn in a massive mass outbreak. Below that, some Pokemon will not spawn in mass outbreaks, will not spawn in massive mass outbreaks, will not spawn normally in the world, will only spawn in a space-time distortion. So they get a red, aka not worth it, just don't bother. And then finally last, shiny locked, which is just like all the legendaries are shiny locked, right? So if we look through, most things are green or yellow, which is a good sign. The only things like orange, the Burmy line is one that you have to find full odds just from a tree, which is kind of rough. And I think down here, the Porygon Z, or the Porygon line, sorry, is only available in space-time distortions. And the Magnemite line is only available full odds. And then all of the fossil Pokemon are only available in space-time distortions. So all in all, there's only about 12-ish Pokemon in the entire roster, other than obviously all of the legendaries at the bottom. So like, you know, roughly I'll just round it up to like there's like 20-25 Pokemon in the entire dex that do not in some way come from these mass outbreaks or massive mass outbreaks. And honestly, that's pretty good. I can see why this is such a good game for shiny hunting. It's one of my favorites. And so if you're ever looking for a specific Pokemon from one of these areas, just, you know, maybe use this guide. As always, the link to this will be in the description, but that's really it, you know? It's not as crazy as the Scarlet and Violet one, but not all of them have to be. It's really just here as a resource, as with most of the other things in my Pokemon info Google Drive. But, you know, as always, if you've got questions with shiny hunting in this game or any other game, I have put a decent amount of time into shiny hunting in a lot of these games. So, you know, feel free to come talk to me on twitch.tv/yourgoodpalmaxim. I am there Monday through Thursday, and most of the time I'm playing Pokemon. Other than that, though, let me know if there's something I missed. I would be happy to add it in. And stay tuned, because I think next is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Alright, y'all have a good night.